Today we're going to talk about the barbell back squat, how to properly set up for it, how to perform it, and then throughout the video I'll also be pointing out some common mistakes and give you cues on how to correct those. The first step in setting up for the squat is making sure that the bar is at an appropriate height. We want the bar to be easy to lift out of the rack when we step back. So the way we can do that is setting the bar so that it's just below the collarbone, because when we unrack, that's going to mimic where it's going to rest on the back, right about here in the high bar squat, which we're going to demonstrate, resting right about the top of the shoulder blades. So go ahead and get into position. Step back. So we're going to take a look at the hand placement here. So hand placement will vary based on the flexibility you have in your shoulders and your wrists. So Val's most comfortable here. Some people will be a little further out. Next, we'll look at the feet. We're shoulder width apart here, which is good. Another thing that we can play with depending on flexibility and depending on what the goal is. But for now, we're going to stick with that shoulder width stance. We want to make sure the heels stay on the ground the whole time, as well as the big toe mainly. We want all the toes ideally, but I like to focus on pushing the big toe and the heel into the ground to almost form a claw gripping the floor. Now let's go ahead and go for some reps of the squat, dropping down. Notice that the bar is moving evenly. We're not getting tilting one side or the other. Now in performing the squat, we want to aim for a 90-degree position at the knee, what we call parallel. There will be times when we have less range of motion, times when we have greater, but for the most part, we'll just address the parallel position. So what does that mean? When we come down into our squat, and if we can pause here for a bit, we've got the top of the leg is parallel to the ground. Go ahead and relax. Good. Now we're going to go for a few more reps. What I'm also looking for, come on down and pause, is this hip joint. We can create a straight line to the knee. Go ahead and keep going. Excellent, excellent. So we have a great range of motion through the quads and through the hamstrings here, and that is going to give us the most muscular development that we can throughout this lift. Another thing I want to pay attention to is the control. There's no bouncing, so we can move this bar nice and evenly and stop whenever we want to. So I'm going to ask Val to pause right there. She's in control. Go ahead and go back up. Excellent. The next thing I want to address is the knee position relative to the toes. A lot of times you'll see the knee should never go over the toe. It's bad. That's not quite the truth. So when we go down into the squat, notice here, pause here, Val's knee is a little bit in front of the toe. Now that's not a bad thing because she has the flexibility through the ankle, through the knee and the hip to get into that position. Go ahead and come back up. Now she's going to do a few more reps. Notice each time the knee will travel in front of the toe, but her foot is staying flat on the ground. That means she has control, she has ample ankle mobility to allow the knee to travel past the toe, and she's going to remain injury-free and build a lot of strength through the legs with this position. Go ahead, Alex. A common thing that you've probably seen at the gym is people setting up for a squat with little weights under their heels. Now what this does is allow you to get into good squat position while having poor ankle mobility. So go ahead and go into a squat. Now Val does have perfectly adequate ankle mobility, so she doesn't need these. But this is what the purpose is. Whenever you see someone doing that, it's to allow them to have the heel essentially in contact with the ground while they have that knee slightly in front of the toe. Good. Now, I think this is a band-aid. You should, whenever possible, work on improving that ankle mobility. But just know that that's what the plates are there for. It's to allow you to keep good squat form while performing the back squat.